In my opinion, having experienced it, there is nothing more expensive in the world than poverty. Poverty doesn't just mean, oh, you can't afford to buy in bulk, or oh, you have to work twice as hard for the same amount of stuff. Poverty doesn't just mean I'm spending the same amount of money in rent as this person over here, but where I live is a slum or is a terrible, almost unlivable place. Poverty doesn't just come with the expense of lower education options and time consumed by trying to get on welfare, so you don't have time to start a business, let alone the finances to. Poverty comes with really difficult trade-offs. Sure, I could attempt to invest, but if I put money in that portfolio account, that money's not accessible, which means I don't have it for the next emergency. I won't be able to take it out until I'm like 65 plus, and I have things I have to think about trying to accomplish right this second. Sure, someone can tell me, hey, go to college, but I can't even afford the debt I'm already in, let alone attempt student loans. It's terrible, poverty is. You have to make hard choices. Can I afford to travel to say goodbye to my dying relative and still be able to keep the electric on? It's a choice between, well, I have this phone and it has cell service, so I guess that's my internet. So I guess I can't use a computer, I can't have home internet, and that means I'm going to be lacking a lot of options and resources that I could find online or even do remote work from home. There's always one hurdle from keeping you from getting ahead. One medical bill coming out of nowhere, one car repair, whatever it is, there's always something coming up. And that's if you can even afford a car, honestly. It's so expensive. It's a constant race against when is the money running out. There's $9 left in the account. What can I do? Sometimes you just go walking the streets because you're hoping to find a couple of coins laying on the ground. And maybe you can find enough coins you could buy something to eat from the dollar store. It's a constant state of desperation. And it's not just expensive financially, it's expensive to your stress, to your health. It's expensive to your longevity. Poverty is ridiculously expensive. According to research, it takes, on average, a person who is born into a class 20 years to get out of that class and into another one, and that during those 20 years, the person needs nothing to go wrong. That's just terrible. It's really, really terrible. Think about that for a few seconds. 2 decades of life not happening, of nothing bad happening. That's not a controllable thing. That's luck. To get out of the class you were born into and into an upward mobility of the next class up. Almost everyone will die in the same class that they were born into, or else maybe one up. A class that's very close to the one they were born into. 99% of people will die in a class that's close to, if not the same, as the class they were born into. You will never get rich, statistically. You can try to change class, though. There are things you can do to make upward mobility more likely, but all you can do is increase your odds. You cannot guarantee it. And the idea that working hard creates upward mobility is laughable. It really is. 67% of people who are born into wealth just are there. That's it. That's all it was. They didn't work hard. They didn't earn it. It's intergenerational. It's inherited. Almost 70%. The other almost 30% are considered to be self-made. But the individuals who are quote-unquote self-made almost all of them not only worked hard, but got lucky. The person who goes and works as a teacher and makes almost no money works hard and gets almost nothing for it. The person who's a social worker, the person who is, any retail job, whatever restaurant. I mean, there's so many completely obvious jobs where you work hard. Look at how hard nurses work. Nurses work their butt off. They're not multimillionaires. You could say, well, some nurses are traveling nurses and they make more than the ones that stay put. Yeah, and at what cost? To their health, to their longevity. The people who are creating the most likelihood of shortening their life from the stress and the risk are the people who are getting paid the least. And the people who have almost no risk to their physical anatomy or to their longevity are the people who just have life handed to them. There are billions of people working hard every single day, and they're not getting anywhere. They have a 1 to 2% raise a year, and inflation is higher than that. So they're stuck. Being poor is the most expensive thing in the world. When you're poor, you got to pay a lot of taxes. And the very taxes that you're paying are to subsidize the welfare that you're on. And the reason the welfare is needed is because the corporation that you work for doesn't pay you a livable wage. So you are literally paying to subsidize the lack of wages that you're getting. Being poor is the most expensive thing in the world. Working hard is a myth when it comes to upward mobility. The United States is incredibly wealthy as a country. And we have this American dream of, oh, if you work hard, you can get there, all this stuff. That's true for some people. But it's very few people. And yet we put them on pedestals and hold them up as, look, you could do it too. But this person's super rare. For every success, there's a ridiculous amount of losses. The people who are the losses don't get highlighted. They don't get shown, even though they're the majority. The United States is actually pretty low for upward mobility. There's been discussions amongst other developed countries about whether to consider the US a developing country because we are so far down the rankings. Well, not all of them. We're number 1 in the world for mass murder. It's really bad. Our upward mobility is actually way below so many other developed countries. And yet we're the ones with the image of, oh yeah, here, follow your dreams, you can make it. But we're the country that is pretty low on capability of accomplishing that. The worst part about it is being poor is supposed to be temporary. It's supposed to be a moment of hardship that you overcome. And for way too many people, it is just their whole lifetime. The most expensive thing about it is that you're stuck that way your whole existence. It is ongoing. It's not just the most expensive thing you've ever experienced for like 4 years and then you're done. Billions of people, it's all they will ever know. It's meant to be temporary, and they don't know that. They're just dead in the water. If you are going through it, you have all my compassion. I've been there. It is possible to get out of it, but it does definitely take at least a little luck. And I'm saying that as someone who is very conscientious of where I got lucky. And I'm not rich, but at least I am not living in the kind of poverty that I used to. And if you still do, man, I'm so sorry that the system is so sucky. Believe it or not, I'm trying to help. You matter. I don't care how poor you are. I don't care how destitute you are. You matter. And more people need to say that to you. But if nobody else has, at least please believe me when I say it. Please hear me say it. You don't deserve this. Life's not actually supposed to be this hard. It's not your fault. It's not something deficient in you. You matter.